Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and this slithery snake pattern is the newest applique pattern in my shop. There's a link to purchase the pattern in the description below this video, but here I'm going to show you how to make it, and I'm going to show you a version with stripes, a version with a diamond back pattern, and a version without any kind of markings on it at all, where you can just use a really awesome fabric for the snake. Here's how to make him. All right, let's make this snake. This is super easy. So we're going to start with the snake body because this has this guides the placement of everything else. So this is the video, I should say, before I peel this off, this is the video showing how to do this if you do not have a light box. And so before you peel this paper off, you do need to transfer all of these dotted lines that you see on the back, on the paper side. You need to transfer those over to the fabric side. So you can see I've just used a chalk line here, and I used just a Sharpie marker to mark where the eyes are going to go. If you hold this piece up to the light in a window with the light shining through behind it, you'll be able to see these lines right through it, and you can easily transfer those over to the fabric side. But you do want to do that before you peel the paper backing off, because then you lose that guideline. And that guideline is what makes it really easy to put this together. So it's very wiggly. This has got a flat cut edge at the bottom. That is what you line up with the bottom raw edge of the block. So I call this snapshot style. Imagine if you were taking a picture of a snake and you didn't want the entire snake in the photo. You wanted to focus on the half of the snake that has the head in it. You would, if you were taking a picture of it, this bottom edge would be at the bottom edge of the frame of your photo. So the rest of the body is there, you just don't see it. So now, let's go ahead and put the eyes on first. These are pretty small little ovals. They definitely, you are still able to outline them. I like to just use a simple straight stitch, and that is totally doable. But if you don't want to outline such small pieces, the pattern does have links to some other options, lots of other options. It's got links to my favorite fabric paints, my favorite fabric markers, some embroidery techniques, things you can do with the sewing machine or by hand, lots of options. So now we're going to start laying the stripes on. So I've got all of these stripe pieces, and they're all numbered. It starts with number 1 at the top of the snake and works its way down to number 7. So here's number 1, and then you got to do a little bit, there we go. This is the way it goes. Now I like my stripe pieces to be just a smidge bigger than the body pieces. I want the stripe to hang a little bit over the edges. I don't want any of the body to show through. So when I cut these pieces out, when I cut the snake body out, I cut on the inside side of that line. I use pretty fat lines when I draw these because I want to make them really easy to see, especially if you're trying to position stripes through a window, to draw those markings, transfer those markings, things like that. So when I cut the snake piece, I cut it a smidge on the smaller side of that line. And when I cut the stripes, you can see that I cut them on the outside edge of that line. And it's a very small difference, but it makes it really easy to position these pieces in a way that you don't have any of the back, the body piece showing through. So I'm just going to keep positioning these stripes, and you can see when I cut these out, I actually was very deliberate with the way that I positioned the stripes. So these are little stripes of dotted lines, and I tried to position them so that the stripes would go across the body. You don't have to do that. I just get a little weird anytime I'm working with stripes. I really like to make the stripes work for me. So these colors, these are all blenders from collections fabric that I've designed. So both the snake and the background are from the Gemstones color palette, which is all bright, clear, very saturated tertiary colors. And they're all named 4 gemstones, so it makes it really easy to know what's what in my collection. So this background block is from the Ruby collection, and it's actually a collection that you can get the fabric already with the quilting lines already printed on it. And all of the snake colors are from the Emerald blenders. And this is, in my mind, this is modeled on an emerald boa. So I thought that was very appropriate. All right, so now I've got all of the stripes in place. You could obviously do a much higher contrast stripe. I just wanted to do something really subtle. I'm gonna take this over to my ironing board, lift it very carefully. I'm gonna fuse that into place. Just follow the directions on whatever brand of fusible adhesive you are using. I use Heat and Bond Light for all of my quilts. After it's all fused in place, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and outline stitch around all of the pieces, and then I'll bring it back here and show you the finished version and also show you a couple of other versions that I did in different colors, one with no stripes at all, so it's really just the snake body, which is super, super easy, and another version that has a diamond back pattern. So you get the same snake body, but I give you the three different ways that you can make it with different kind of patterns on it. All right, so this is the finished snake. I've done all of the outline stitching. Now, I did the outline stitching the way I always do. I really like just a simple black straight stitch outline. But if you were trying to mimic a more realistic colored and a realistically colored snake, you might want to use some satin stitching on the edges of the stripes in particular. There are a lot of snakes that have a band of color, that have stripes of color on them, kind of wider stripes, but then those stripes are bordered by narrower stripes of a different color, and you could achieve that same look by using zigzag stitch or satin stitching, wide stitching along those edges, and it would give you that look. So this snake was inspired by an emerald boa, really just the color. Emerald boas do not have stripes, but I decided to give it kind of a tone-on-tone stripe by using 2 different blenders in the same hue, but I also have other versions. So here's a version that I did with no markings at all. So it's really just the snake piece and the 2 eyes. So super, super simple to do, and a really great one to use just any kind of a fabulous pattern. You could also use a striped fabric or a polka dotted fabric or really a flowered print fabric. Anything would be really, really fun with this. You've got a great space to showcase an interesting print on it. And I got one more version. So this is the diamond back version, and this is the one that I made most inspired by a particular snake. This is a Bushmaster snake, and they do come like mostly in reddish orange, and then their diamonds are usually either black or dark gray or dark brown. So you've got 3 different kinds of patterns that you can use, a million different color combinations. Just Google snake images and you're going to see some amazing, amazing, inspiring snakes. This is one where I really would like to do an entire quilt with just a snake in every block, but all different colors and patterns on them. And it would be really fun to turn the blocks. So some of them are coming in sideways and coming in from the top, and just mix and match and tumbling those all around. I think it would make a fabulous quilt, and I hope I have the time to make that soon. So I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World. This is the slithery snake pattern. There's a link to purchase it in the description below this video, and I'll be back next time with a new pattern.